Most High Christ bless. Deacon here, Northeast Tabernacles 2024. If you're not here, you should be here. Having a great time, coming together. Every single day we have an event, on-site, off-site, enjoying each other's company, having a good time. Brotherhood, sisterhood, just coming together, enjoying the Lord's feast day. Joyfulness and gladness that the Most High commanded us to. It's been a long time since it's been this good. I don't know what's going on. The Most High has blessed the heavens for us to be out here and enjoy this amazing weather and enjoying this company. So, Lord's will, hopefully you brothers out there who couldn't make it, observing your feast days as well at home, and hopefully we'll see you next year. Shalom, Most High Christ bless.
Hazelou, we got a bishop on deck. See what I'm saying? Hazelou, we got a bishop on deck. Hazelou, we got a bishop on deck. Hazelou, see my bishop on deck. All the rise and feet, so respect. All these damn dogs getting checked. See what I'm saying? Shout him out. Tuesday. Shout him out. Tuesday. Put in work. Reach the people. See my bishop. He don't play. Shout him out. Tuesday. Shout him out. Tuesday. Put in work. Reach the people. See my bishop. He don't play. Shout him out. Tuesday. Shout him out. Tuesday. Put in work. Reach the people. See my bishop. He don't play. Shout him out. Tuesday. Shout him out. Tuesday. Put in work. Reach the people. See my bishop. He don't play. Hazelou, we got the bishop on deck. On deck. Hazelou, we got the bishop on deck. See what I'm saying? Hazelou, we got the bishop.
Shalom, brothers. Shalom, sisters. Bishop Nathaniel here. You know what day it is. That's right. It is Shout Out Tuesday. It's Shout Out Tuesday. And you know how I love to read your letters of exhortation and your donations of support. But before I do that, I often love to cover a little bit of our hidden history. Y'all bear with me. So let's sit back. Let's get our libations on. Let's get our diet food on. And let's take a look. I'll need y'all to pay very close attention to the history lesson. It's going to merge us into today's commentary, all right? All right. Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Let's look up ham. Ham, perhaps hot, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. Watch this. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So the scholars know that the Negroes are not Hamitic. They're Shemitic. All right, in this dictionary from the 1800s, let's look up in Africa about the native population. Native population, the chief names used in describing the African population are Negroes, Bantu-speaking and Sudanic-speaking, Hamites, Northern and Eastern, Pygmies, Bushmen, and Hottentots. I want to jump down. The word Hamite, for example, describes men of physique differing from that of Negroes. So the white man knows that the Hamites are different from that of Negroes. Remember, this word is a Spanish word from Spain. Let's go down. Some of these physical patterns of face, skull formation, and body are common to certain areas, despite considerable crossbreeding of Negroes and Hamites, Negroes with Pygmies and Arab Semites with their Negro slaves. Negro tribes differ in facial feature and body build, but a Negro of West Africa without any admixture is the one usually chosen as a type. He is heavily built and from median height to tall. The head is long in relation to the breadth, The nose is wide, the lips thick and everted. The lower jaw protrudes. The skin color is very dark brown, almost black, and the hair is invariably black and woolly. All right, watch this. Look at this. Slavery was due to raids of Arabs and Hamites or Negro communities. Do y'all see that? Picture history of Jewish civilization. Take a look at this. Y'all see the black slaves with yokes of iron on their neck? Very similar to the yokes of iron during the transatlantic slave trade. Let's read what it says. Thousands of war captives who were transformed into slaves made it possible for the Egyptian kings to implement their feats of engineering. Chained captives are shown on these painted clay facing plaques from a building erected by Ramses II in honor of the king's brave warriors from the period of the 19th dynasty, 19th dynasty. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, it says these were war captives. You think when the Egyptians was putting yokes of iron on our neck, we didn't fight against them? Yes, we fought again. Oh, you thought we just stood there and they put yokes of iron on their neck? No, we fought. The only problem was we lost. But that was God's judgment. You got to look at the similarities between these yokes of iron and the yokes of iron that America put on us. Here's the Israelites in Egypt working as slaves. What color are they? What color are the Israelites working? The same color as the taskmasters. These are not white folks. These are not Caucasians. Here's the Israelites picking grapes in Egypt. What color are they? Black. What color are they? Black. The Egyptians became familiar with the horse and wagon after the victory of the Hyksos in the beginning of the long period, 1730 to 1580 before Christ existed, walked the earth, of the rule of Asiatic peoples in the land of the pharaohs. This painting on a coffin shows Tutankhamun, that's King Tut, shooting his enemies from a war chariot from the tomb of Tutankhamun, Egyptian Museum. Now we know Tutankhamun died as a child, but they gave him honor. Look, everybody that's fighting, getting smashed are black. Look at the Egyptian slaves, the slaves of Egypt. Those were the Israelites serving King Tut, black. This was us here, slaves. Slaves. Israelite slaves. Israelite slaves. Muhammad, founder of Islam. Muhammad's first principle, which proclaimed Allah is Lord of the universe and there is no other, is essentially a Jewish doctrine. The phrase, "and Muhammad is his prophet," was added only later. The saying, "no one is a prophet in his own town," held particularly true for Muhammad. In Mecca, his birthplace, he was not well received. He was not received well. Mecca was the center of the paganism of the Arabian tribes. Muhammad was forced to flee and to make his hijrah to Yathrib, Medina, in 622. There he initiated efforts to win converts to his faith among the city's Arab population. He became very close to the Jews. These are the black Jews, as I've been showing you, and this book has proven it. He became very close to the Jews and adopted various Jewish practices such as fasting on the Day of Atonement and facing Jerusalem in prayer. Even his scribe was a Jew. All these facts led the Jews to consider him one of the God-fearing and a light to the Gentiles, and they even helped him. But they did not regard him as a prophet of God. His demand that the Jewish tribe of Bani Qunuqua adopt his doctrines, the religion of Islam, was contemptuously rejected. Do y'all see that? It was this rebuff which accounted for Muhammad's eventual great hatred of the Jews, those black Jews. He hated them. He abandoned the observances he had borrowed from Judaism, and as soon as his position among the Arab tribes grew stronger, he began attacking the Jews and their customs and even waged open warfare against them. The armies of the Arab tribes surrounded the Jewish communities in the vicinity of Medina and in northern Arabia and completely destroyed them. Only a few survivors succeeded in escaping the sword of the faithful to southern Palestine and Tamia. After Muhammad's death in 632, his followers in the Arabian Peninsula increased in numbers and power. Their religious fanaticism was combined with a lust for battle, a passion for conquest and plunder. So this is a brief history on how Muhammad was established or set himself up as a so-called prophet. Look here, I'm on page 94. Let's read the highlight. Simeon Bar Yochai wept and said, Lord of the universe, is it not enough for your sons what the evil kingdom of Edom, Rome, see they knew, the scholars know that Edom is Rome, did to them, that you must also send the kingdom of Ishmael against us? That's the Arabs. Do y'all see that? Let's go down. And there will be a great hatred between them and the children of Esau, Rome. Let me read this part again. He sets a prophet of his choice over them who will conquer the land of Israel for them. And they will come and restore it to the Jews. And there will be a great hatred between them and the children of Esau, Rome. Y'all see that? But this book gives you the history. Notice it went from showing the Jews being black to the Arabs, Muhammad being established and the Arabs hating and destroying us, enslaving us. Now it gets to the Khazars, how the white man fit into all of this, okay, and became Jewish. The Khazars. Numerous tribes in the Arabian Peninsula and in the various lands of the Near Middle East adopted Judaism. The most famous of these were the Khazars. The land of the Khazars in southern Russia extended from the Caspian Sea to the Black Sea. You know what that area is called? The Caucasus Mountains. As far as Crimea, the Khazars were a semi-nomadic pagan tribe whose chief was the Cajun. At the beginning of the 8th century, the Khazars became very strong by virtue of their domination of the trade route between the Byzantine Empire and the Far East. For this reason, both the Byzantine emperors and Baghdad caliphs were interested in cultivating the Khazars and bringing them under their influence by winning them to their religion. Paganism was on its last legs. Cajun Bullen of the Khazars, who reigned over his people in the middle of the 8th century, decided to abandon his pagan faith, but could not make up his mind what new faith to adopt. So when you read this, it tells you about a Jew and a Christian. A black Jew and a Christian came to him. Just to get to the point, this being the case, Cajun decided to adopt the faith of the Jews. This is how the white man became Jewish during the Middle Ages. Slavery in the Arab world. by Murray Gordon. All right, we're going to go to page. In decades after the last slave ship sailed westward to the Americas and the West Indies, where slavery had been abolished by the early 1870s, Arab dhows were furtively moving out of Zanzibar, Mombasa, and other East African ports, following the familiar Indian Ocean routes for the consignment of ebony. So that's the guys they use, ebony. The masters of these fast lateen-rigged ships, see, they took us by ships, which were methodically packed in sardine-like fashion with men, women, and children. See, that was the ebony. Men, women, and children maneuvered skillfully in evading the small force of British sloops, charged with the impossible mission of interdicting this illicit traffic, because by this time it was illegal. The blacks caught up in this trade were fated to be sold in the slave marts of Arabia, the Persian Gulf, Ottoman Empire, and India. That slavery persisted as long as it did in the Muslim world. It was only abolished in Saudi Arabia in 1962 and as late as 1981 in Mauritania. This is heavy because, remember, Malcolm X went to Saudi Arabia, Mecca, in 1964. Imagine if he'd gone there a few years earlier, he might have been made a slave. Wow. And before you fix your lips to say, no, Mecca wasn't a slave market, here we go, page 134. African slaves played a useful role in accompanying their masters on the arduous pilgrimage to Mecca, known as the Hajj. This act is incumbent upon all Muslims who are possessed with the means to carry out such a journey. Its purpose is to provide Muslims with a conception of Islam as a universal religion and the consciousness of sharing a common religious heritage. The sale of so many slaves from different parts of Muslim Africa, as well as from India and Java, helped assure a continuing rich and varied supply of servile labor in the slave markets of Mecca. I thought y'all said Mecca was holy. Mecca was a slave market. Slave markets of Mecca and Jeddah. Pilgrims arriving from Iraq, Syria, and Persia, and other parts of the Middle East frequented these markets, and many brought back with them newly purchased slaves. Wow. You better shut your black lips. All right, we're on page 226. One of the most prominent, Eldon Rudder, who spent a great part of his life in Saudi Arabia and wrote sympathetically about the country in his book, The Holy Cities of Arabia, said in a lecture delivered to the Royal Asian Society in London in 1933, slavery exists in every part of Arabia, except Aden, as a normal social institution. But I have only seen one slave market where slaves are displayed in a public place like merchandise. This was in Mecca, in a narrow street called Souk el Abid, which means slave market. You black Muslim better shut your black lips. I know what you're thinking. Oh, but the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he did not accept it. Let's see, page 19. Habashas, the name given to the Ethiopians by the Arabs, filled the slave markets of Mecca. It was not surprising that Muhammad, who accepted the existing socio-political order, looked upon slavery as part of the natural order of things. Wow. And y'all know they castrated many of our young men. Watch this. Many young castrates, because they castrated the black slaves, the Israelite slaves. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Many young castrates served as guards, messengers, and not uncommonly as confidants to their owners. Many were sent to guard the holy ground of the Kaaba in Mecca. Y'all know the Kaaba stone, that black rock, and the tomb of the Prophet Muhammad, Prophet in Medina. So that's the Prophet Muhammad in Medina. So you see how this is what they did to our people, the Israelites. And y'all gonna tell me Mecca, the Kaaba in Mecca is holy? Are you kidding me? All right, now you saw it for yourself. You saw it for yourself. Now, today's episode of Black Muslim versus Dr. Umar Johnson. That's right, a Black Muslim versus Dr. Umar Johnson. He decides he wants to fact check Dr. Umar Johnson on some of his claims. But before I get to that video, I'm going to take you to what some Arabs say, because when the Black Muslim comes for Dr. Umar Johnson, he begins to say how Dr. Umar Johnson does not know what he's talking about. So, you know me, I'm going to fact check various things, various sources, and I'm going to go to the horse's mouth. So, the question was dealing with racism, that type of thing. So I decided to go to see what some Arabs say. Is there racism in Islam? Is there racism in Islam? Let's take a look. Let's go to the video.
Few certain situations, and I just want to talk about it. For example, the whole Libya scandal, if you want to call it that, for the situation that's still ongoing in terms of slavery and so forth, and selling of slaves and buying of slaves, and all of that was going on, and in terms of the massive terrorist.
Wait, let me pause. I just want to read this briefly. When slavery was uncovered in Libya, and when there was a terrorist attack that killed hundreds in Somalia, there was a deafening silence on the part of non-Black Muslims, meaning Arabs didn't speak on it. Both of these issues are as relevant today as they were 10 years ago, yet there is still so little light being shed on them. Yet, if a tragic incident were to happen in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, or Palestine, that is all you would see on your timeline. There's no way you wouldn't know about it. When violence occurs against Black Muslims, however, there is much less outrage or concern. Wow. That is not to say that there aren't a few individuals who post about it. However, the majority of non-Black Muslims would hear about the issue much later. Woo! Sounds racist to me, but let's go on.
Attacks that took place in Somalia, a lot of people were saying that these situations weren't really addressed in mosques. These situations weren't really addressed within the Muslim community and the Ummah just in general. It just was not touched upon. Whereas if something happened in Palestine, something happened in Syria, it's going to be a major issue. Or something happened in Yemen, it's going to be a major issue, or it's going to be affecting everybody. And I feel like that is something that I can definitely vouch for. I feel like it's a situation where, not that we shouldn't vouch for people who are suffering, irrespective of what color you are from or where you're from. Of course you should, and nobody's denying that, of course. But at the same time, there seems to be this imbalance. There seems to be this unevenness. There seems to be something that's not in moderation. That's not in a form of equilibrium at all. And I feel like there's a lack of awareness for places such as Somalia or Eritrea or Sudan, or the whole slave trade situation that's not only going on in plenty of places in the world, but especially.
He's too animated for me. I don't know if he got sugar in his tank or what the hell wrong with him. Assalamu alaikum. I don't know.
In Libya, which we all saw all over Twitter earlier this year and last year, that's probably still ongoing to this day, but this matters.
Now that part I verified, there is still slavery going on in Libya, where Muslims, Arab Muslims, are selling Black people into slavery. No Black Muslim talks about it. Nobody wants to address the issue. Once America eradicated, murdered, assassinated Gaddafi, things went to hell and back. Let's go on.
seems to be washed away and not spoken about, yet we are continuously speaking and screaming about Syria, Yemen, Palestine, and so forth, which we definitely should, but there should be a balance. We shouldn't be talking about some people and dismissing others. But
Despite Islam.
Now, I got to pause there. I got to go to, y'all bear with me. We are going to go into the scriptures just a little bit. Now, you heard that young man, as animated as he was, talked about there's no balance when it comes to speaking out against atrocities. If anything happens in Syria, Afghanistan, Palestine, so forth and so on, with those Muslim countries, there's a big up to do about it. But when it happens to black Muslims, shh, nobody talk about it. Now, that's a little quick thing. I'm going to go into the scriptures briefly. Deuteronomy 32, and I'm going to read verse 17. And it reads, this is what Moses said would happen with us, the children of Israel. It says, they sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Now, what are some of the new gods that we would worship? Well, Islam is perhaps the newest, or one of the newest religions on earth. Okay. Islam was created by the Arab named Muhammad. Islam originated in Mecca, Arabia in 610, which is the 7th century AD. And the Arab slave trade officially started in around 652, so they say. Estimates say that around 6 million black slaves were transported across the Sahara during this time. Now, in the New Testament, so what I want y'all to see with what we just read in Deuteronomy, it said we would sacrifice to devils and not to God, right? Y'all read that, right? When you go to Psalms 96 and 5, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. So Saudi Arabia, what do they worship? Idols. It says, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Moses called them devils. Moses called those idols devils. Now, when you go to Colossians 2 and 8, Colossians chapter 2, verse 8, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. So when it says beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy, what man particularly spoils us through philosophy? Well, today's lesson we're dealing with Islam, Muhammad. And you might ask, why don't I call him Prophet Muhammad? Because there's no prophets outside of the children of Israel. When you go to, watch, I'm going to prove it. Watch. Where am I going? Amos. All right, y'all bear with me. Let me find it. Amos 2:11. And I raised up of your sons for prophets, and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel, saith the Lord? So the only prophets are of the children of Israel. Muhammad was not of the children of Israel. So back to Colossians 2 and 8. Beware lest any man, Muhammad, spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, that means lies, after the tradition of men, the Arabs in today's lesson, after the rudiments of the world and not after Christ. So, what did Muhammad do? There were many gods in Mecca, many, over 300, if I'm not mistaken. And Muhammad, having heard the teachings of the Israelites, he went and destroyed all the majority of the idols, and he left one he called Allah, which is recorded in, like, for example, Jeremiah chapter 2. He left the Kaaba stone that they call Allah. The Kaaba stone, the black rock. Jeremiah 2:27. Watch this. Saying to a stock, The word stock means wood. Saying to a stock, thou art my father. This is how idolatry begins. People that worship wooden crosses, for example, that's a stock. Saying to a stock, thou art my father. And to a stone. In Islam, they pray to the Kaaba, stone. And to a stone, thou hast brought me forth. You created me. For they have turned their back unto me. So the Israelites, we turned our back unto God and not their face. But in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us. But where are thy gods that thou hast made thee? Let them arise if they can save thee in the time of thy trouble. For according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah. So our people worship stones, wood and stone. So in today's lesson, we're dealing with stone. The Kaaba stone is from Islam. Okay. When you go to Jeremiah 3 now, in verse 1, watch this. They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Lord. So the Lord is giving an analogy. In his law, we are forbidden, if our wife commits adultery, we are forbidden to take her back. But as a people, as a nation, we have committed spiritual adultery, spiritual fornication with the idols of all the various nations. So today's lesson, we're talking about the Arabs, how we follow the customs, traditions, lies of the Arabs. God said, yet return to me, he says. Verse 2, watch this, listen good to this. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast not been lying with. L-I-E-N means corrupted with. In the ways hast thou sat for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness. So who is it talking about? The Arabs. The Arabians are the Arabs. And thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withholden, meaning no blessings upon our people. And there hath been no latter rain, no blessings at the end of the seasons. And thou hast a whore's forehead. Thou refusest to be ashamed. Are our people ashamed in Islam? Nope. That's what it says. Our people refuse to be ashamed. The Arabs enslaved us, destroyed us, forced Islam on us. And you refuse to be ashamed. And you run around, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam, assalamu alaikum, yo, Aki, yo, Aki. Shut the hell up. What is wrong with you? But let's go back. Let's go back to the video. Bear with me a second. Let me cue it up. Let's go.
Despite Islam's message of racial equality, Black Muslims continue to experience discrimination within the Muslim community and feel excluded.
Wait. This Arab, how do you say his name? Ali. Ilyas Ali. He's telling you Black Muslims suffer discrimination, suffer racism. I got to go back and hear it again. Come back with me, hear it again. And then he interviews a doctor of Islam. Let's play it again.
But there should be a balance. We shouldn't be talking about some people and dismissing others. But
Despite Islam's message of racial equality, Black Muslims continue to experience discrimination within the Muslim community.
Really?
And feel excluded from mosques and Muslim organizations. What can we do to turn the tide on anti-Black racism within the Muslim community? Joining me to discuss this is Dr. Abdullah Hakim Quick. Dr. Quick is a senior lecturer at the Islamic Institute of Toronto, head of the History Department of Al-Maghrib Institute, and outreach coordinator for the Canadian Council of Imams. He holds a PhD in West African Islamic history from the University of Toronto.
So this is a well-educated brother here. Brothers and sisters, bear with me. I need you to listen. Let's see if this brother of Islam with a PhD will answer the questions directly and factual. You heard what I said? Let's see if he'll answer the questions directly and factual.
To the show, Dr. Abdullah. So your journey to Islam started as a young Black person in the 60s. You know, did it appeal to you from the perspective of racial justice?
Well, in the beginning, as an African American in the turbulent 60s. You know, people were searching for identity.
Whoa! People were searching for identity. Why? Because we as a people have lost our identity. Didn't God prophesy that? Watch this. Let me go in Isaiah. I just got to pause it right there for a second to show you what the Lord said. Actually, let me go to Jeremiah 17:4. It reads, "And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever," meaning a long time. So we would discontinue from the heritage God gave us. We would discontinue from the truth that we're the Israelites, discontinue from his laws, statutes, and commandments. Is that all? Is that all I got? No. Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3 reads, "The ox knoweth his owner." So as you and I know, an ox is a dumb animal, yet it knows his owner. It knows who owns him. "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib." A jackass is another dumb animal, but you could drop it off miles away. It will find its way home. So let's see the comparison. Let's read again. "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider." Not only have we forgotten who owns us, who our God is, we don't know our motherland. We don't know our country. We don't know Jerusalem is the mother of us all. We don't know that. We don't know that we're the Israelites, that we come from there. That's what the Bible prophesies. So what this doctor says, Dr. Quick, Abdullah Hakim Quick, he says during the turbulent 60s, black people were searching for identity. And that's always the problem with our people. We have lost our identity, and therefore we are searching. Who in the hell are we as a people? Let's go back a second or two.
They were searching for roots. And when you go into West African history, you'll see a number of great West African Muslim leaders, and you see Muslim empires. So that really is one of the concepts, or one of the destinations for the mind of a searching young person. Also in the United States was the Nation of Islam, and this was
so he's talking about Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan.
Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, of course the famous Malcolm X, and then his teachings that was spreading. So Malcolm X had a big impact on a lot of young people, including myself. And so
because he was speaking the truth. Malcolm X, now a lot of you don't know this, but one of my elders would always say that Jacob always spoke to Malcolm X before he became famous Malcolm X, before he joined the Nation of Islam, and would go through the scripture. This is why many times when you see some of Malcolm X's teachings, he would reference things like Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones, and say that we are the valley of dry bones, things like that. Y'all understand? Let's go on.
So from the beginning, the image of the Nation of Islam was there, and then Islam in West Africa. It was appealing, but it wasn't presented in a practical sense to me. The Nation of Islam didn't make sense to me because where I come from in Cambridge, Mass, which is part of Boston, it's like an interracial area. The project was predominantly African American, but we also had white American, Spanish, and other people as friends. So
what does that mean? That means nothing. A lot of us grew up in backgrounds in communities that are racially mixed. Does that change the truth of God? No, it does not. So what this doctor is saying holds no validity, holds no water.
So the concept of the straight out, black versus white, the white man is the devil, type of thing, didn't really catch on with me.
Yeah, because you don't know anything. You see, people like this, the more educated you are in society, the stupider you are. Your mama used to always say, I know my mama did, the smarter you get, the dumber you are. Whoa! And how true it is. He said a white man is dead. He couldn't get with that. Well, that's what Jesus Christ said. Let me get to scripture. I see brothers like this, they will destroy the whole community. They will destroy the whole race. Revelation 2:9. Watch what Christ said. I know thy works, talking about us, and tribulation, because we catch a lot of tribulation, no matter where our people are, and poverty. As a whole, the bulk of us are impoverished, but thou art rich. Why are we rich? Because the promises in the Bible pertain to us. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. What is Jesus Christ calling these so-called Jewish people? The synagogue of Satan. Now watch what he calls them in the next verse. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Who is casting us into prison? Rome. 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 So what was Christ calling Rome, the Italians? The devil. What was he calling Jewish people at that time? Those converts? The synagogue of Satan. So he don't know the scriptures at all. Based on that one statement he just said, he don't know the scriptures. Let's go on, though.
That didn't make sense. Do for self, believe in the Creator, get away from the false notions in Christianity.
Okay, I agree with that.
That made sense.
Okay, I understand
So
that.
when you did become Muslim and you entered into the Muslim community and you started to get involved, were you surprised to find that racism existed within the Muslim community?
Were you shocked to find out racism existed within the Muslim community? Listen, yes or no? Yes or no? Let's see how this doctor of Islamic divinity, how he answers the question.
Well, when I accepted Islam in 1970, here in Toronto, I had left America and I was here. The brothers and sisters were very kind to me, and
Answer the question!
I got involved and plunged right into my Islamic understanding. And then after a short time, I went to Saudi Arabia to study.
Do y'all see how these people do? They will not answer the question. Beware of these black Muslims, brothers and sisters. They will not answer the freaking question directly. When you became a Muslim, were you shocked to find out there was black racism in Islam? Well, when I accepted Islam in 1970, the people accepted me and I went to Saudi Arabia. So that ain't answering the question. That ain't answering the question. Let's go on.
And I lived there in Arabia. Now, I was surprised in going to Arabia to find that there is tribalism.
Tribalism?
You couldn't call it racism in a sense.
So it's tribalism, not racism. You hear this? It's tribalism, not racism. So, black man, what tribe are you? I understand amongst the Arabs, you got your Shiites, your Sunnis, and you got these different ethnicities amongst them. But what about the black man? That's what the Arab is asking him. What about you as a black man?
Sense of what we encounter here in the West. But it was definitely tribalism. And there was favoritism.
Favoritism.
Amongst the people there, and ignorance. It's really ignorance.
It's really
I tell
ignorance.
the people, a Bedouin in Medina, that I'm from America. And he said, no, you're not an American. You're Egyptian or something. You're Moroccan. I said, no, I'm American. And then he says, okay, South American. So he couldn't deal with the fact of a North American. See, that's ignorance.
He's still not answering the freaking question.
Okay? But tribalism existed, where they start looking down on certain groups of people, which would include, darker Africans and maybe from India and in Pakistan.
So they look down on darker Africans and those perhaps from India. This is racism, but he will not use the word. So he does not offend the Arabs. Let's go on.
They sort of look down on them. So
sounds like racism to me. And so it does to this Arab guy right here.
That was surprising to me, but it was reality of life.
So it took him all that time to say, well, that was surprising to me. After all that talk of gibberish.
But it wasn't until I returned to the West and got back into the communities here that I started to notice some real tribalism that could border on racism, within the Muslims, who were practicing Islam, in the West. This is where I really start noticing it.
Can you recall any examples or trends that
Yeah,
you
I mean,
noticed?
I start noticing that generally, if you go to conferences and you see African people, they're usually calling the adhan or doing security.
Security guards.
Very, very seldom, see them leading salat.
So they don't lead
or,
salat, they don't lead the
as the
prayers.
scholar or something like that.
They're not scholars.
Also, we noticed that when African Americans embraced Islam, or Hispanics, it was a good reception. But when a white American embraced Islam, it was like, paradise.
So blacks and Latinos become Muslim. It's like, But when a white man accepts it, it's, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Racism to me. Sounds like racism to me.
And that person would suddenly be put to the position of leadership.
Then they put the white man up in the leadership role. Not you blacks and Latinos, though. Sounds racist to me.
Sometimes they would even let them lead salat, and they couldn't even read, Quran properly.
They can't even, the white man can't even read the Quran properly, but they made them the leaders. Sounds racist to me, brothers and sisters. What do you think? Put it in the comments.
Or that they become immediately scholars and famous people.
They become immediate scholars and famous just for being white and stumbling through the Quran. Sounds racist to me.
That was a form of racism.
Because after all that, now he says that was a form of racism. Come on, brother, you got to do better than this. You got a PhD. You are a quote unquote scholar. And you that damn simple, that afraid, that careful.
Because racism is not only a superiority thing, on the part of one group, but it's an inferiority. So this is an inferiority complex, where you feel that, based on your color or your ethnicity, that you are inferior to the other person.
But wait a minute, let's pause there. An inferiority complex, you feel it, yes, but generally it's someone from the outside saying or doing something to make you feel that way. See how he's not really putting it all together. The Arabs give you black Muslims an inferiority complex. You come in, you're a black security guard. The white man comes in, he can't even read the Quran. He becomes a scholar and a leader. Y'all don't see nothing wrong with that? Y'all don't see nothing wrong with that? Come on, dog.
So it was the effects of racism in the community. And really, to be honest, the white Muslims who I met, they didn't want this.
Oh, the white Muslim who you met, they didn't want to be the leaders. Really. White people come into something, they always want to take over. That's them. Hey, y'all put in the comment board, anytime you get a business or any entrepreneur, I don't care what it is, you get white people involved, they want to take over. They are not comfortable listening to black and Latino people. White people must take over. He being stupid about it.
They didn't come into Islam to be on top.
Yes, they did.
They came into Islam to be with everybody else.
No, they didn't.
But it was the ignorance of the people.
Now he's blaming everybody else. It's the ignorance of the people. No, it's your ignorance because you can't call a spade, brother.
That effect of racism, which pushed them into positions that they didn't deserve.
Now,
A lot of people have.
So, whoa, lordy. Listen, what was I going to say? Think about it. Racism, slavery is still going on today in parts of the Muslim Arab world. Libya, Mauritania, parts of Saudi Arabia. When you go to Joel 3, now I'm about to get into the Umar Johnson thing. Hold on, I'm about to get into it. I'm about to. But I got to read this thing first. Ooh. Watch this. Where am I going? Where did I say I'm going? Joel. Joel chapter 3. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. We are Judah and Jerusalem. What does it mean, bring again the captivity? Well, let's go to Jeremiah 30. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah, saith the Lord. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. So that's what Joel 3 means when it says, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. The Lord's going to bring us back to the land. Verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. So this has not happened yet. And will plead with them there for my people and my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my lands. How did they scatter us among the nations? It's called slavery. The sub-Saharan slave trade, which began around, what was it, around 652 AD, all the way up to some places was 1960, some places in Saudi Arabia was like 1960, 1962, something like that. Slavery ended. Mauritania was like 1987. Libya is still going on today. No, don't nobody want to talk about that, huh? Let's read on. And parted my land. The land was parted in 1948 between the Palestinian Arabs and the Caucasian Jewish Israelis, which are the real Edomites, the Khazars. Verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people. Talking about they cast lots for us. They bid for us to sell us as slaves. And have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? These are Hamites, Nilotes, pure blood Nilotes, and all the coast of Palestine, that's the Arabs. Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own heads. So now I want y'all to take a look. You got Mecca here. You see the brother with the big wooden yoke around his neck, on his arms. This is called the stocks, and around his ankles so he can't run. This is what the Arabs did to us. Untold story of Arab slave trade in East Africa. Do y'all see this? A history of the Arab slave trade. An Arab slave market. A portrait of two Arab slave traders. Now see what the Arabs did to us? Look at the slave market with the women on the floor with the children, the black women. That's Judah and Jerusalem on the floor. The story of the Zanj rebellion. Our people rebelled against them. A bloody war took place. Now look. Our people are now Muslims today. Look at them reading the Quran, kissing the floor. Look at this. Alhamdulillah. Look at this. Look at this. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. All right. Let's go back to the video.
People have been talking about some comments Dr. Umar Johnson made recently on a podcast.
Comments like what? Let's see what he says. So this is the brother, the Muslim brother, who wants to fact check Dr. Umar Johnson.
In this podcast, he states that he grew up as a Muslim but decided to leave Islam later on in life. During the
So did I.
podcast, he said that his reason for leaving Islam was...
Well, I wasn't raised as a Muslim. I was in it very briefly, very short period of time. I couldn't deal with it. We following the Arabs. Nope.
That it felt like he was practicing quote-unquote Arabism. Today,
Arabism or Arab mania.
we're going to listen to the comments that Dr. Umar Johnson made and discuss if they really are true or not.
Let's see.
Now, I want to be clear. I'm not here to denounce nor to denigrate Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm not going to talk about the school or any of his
then why you mention that? Why even mention that? You can't make this stuff up.
Any of his fundraising efforts. That's not,
So, anyway, let's go on.
it's not my goal. I don't want to invalidate or dismiss any of the work that he's done.
You just did! I'm sorry, y'all.
My only goal is to either confirm or to refute the comments that he made about Islam. So with that caveat out the way, let's begin.
Now, Christianity is the most capitalist-minded of the religions.
Okay.
Islam is not as capitalist-minded, but guess what? It is still anti-revolutionary.
So Umar Johnson says that Islam is anti-revolutionary. To properly address this, we have to ask the question, what does he mean when he says revolutionary? Now let's be brutally honest. We know that he's not talking about violent revolution or overthrowing the government. He's not talking about anything like that. Now he might mean using civil disobedience as a tool to force government change, but I really don't think he means that either. Now perhaps he means standing up against systemic injustice, specifically the injustice found in the United States that is specific against black people. Now, Islam does encourage that. Islam encourages us to speak out when we see something that is incorrect or something that is wrong. Now,
Lies. Lies. Now, I know Dr. Umar Johnson is a Pan-Africanist, and I really cannot speak for him. However, being a revolutionary, when you're in the Bible itself is a revolutionary book. It's about being delivered from an oppressive regime. All of God's holidays is about being delivered from oppression. Okay, so the Bible is a revolutionary book. Christ was the first and truest revolutionary. Okay, Black Christ, the Black Christ in Revelation 1:14-15 I'm talking about. Now, he says Islam does say speak out against injustices in America. Notice he wouldn't say injustices to black people in Libya, injustices committed against black people in Arabia or Afghanistan or Mauritania. These brothers don't say nothing. So he's lying. Let's go on.
whether Muslims do it or not, that is something else. In any group, you will have those who are more active and those who are not. There are many black Muslims, many non-black Muslims, many American Muslim organizations that are involved in speaking out and standing up against injustice.
But you don't stand up against the Arabs. You don't stand up against the Arabs who's selling us, who's racist against us. That's why I hope y'all paid attention from beginning to this part even. I'm about to have, Tito, give me a tissue. Let's go on.
I believe Dr. Umar Johnson really means black collectivism. When he talks about being revolutionary, I believe he's talking about black people uniting and working together to improve their communities. Again, Islam encourages that. There's nothing wrong with that in Islam. And in fact, Muslims, specifically black Muslims, have exhibited that fact here in the United States. In Brooklyn, New York, where I grew up in the 1980s, Imam Siraj Wahhaj ran out the drug dealers from his community. You can't get much more revolutionary than that. In Atlanta,
Now, I don't know about y'all. When I was for the brief moment I was in Islam, I knew and met I got family members who are Muslims. I'll choose my words carefully. I would say this: a lot of our brothers who are in the prison system, when they come out, they went in, they became Muslim, they wanted protection. When they come out, I'm not saying all of them, but a large majority of them continue with criminal activity. Continue criminal activity, and they disguise it under Islam. I'll just say it like that.
His West End, Imam Jamil Al-Amin and his community cleaned up that area from crime and drugs. All of this really depends on what Dr. Umar means by revolutionary. Bilal Phillips, a black Canadian Muslim scholar, has been banned from entering the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and many other countries.
Now, I looked him up. This brother he just mentioned. Well, it's from Wikipedia. Take it with a grain of salt. It said that he was not indicted. However, they said he had something to do with the 1993 World Trade bombing. That's allegedly. So they blocked him from going to various countries. Let me go back.
Siraj Wahaj was banned from entering the UK until very, very recently. Imam Jamil Al-Amin is sitting in prison right now. Meanwhile, Umar Johnson flies all over the world giving talks. Why has Bilal Phillips been banned from going into so many countries?
Look it up. I looked it up, and it gave a reason. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know.
Has Siraj Wahaj been banned from going into certain countries? And why do they allow Umar Johnson in? Because they're afraid of one message and they're not afraid of the other. So who's the real revolutionary here?
It is still anti-African culture in many regards.
So Umar Johnson is saying that Islam is anti-African culture. I have no idea where he gets this from. First of all, there's no such thing as African culture. Africa is full of thousands of different ethnic groups.
Okay.
There's no single quote-unquote African culture. There are thousands of different cultures within Africa. This is a Western mentality to lump all Africans into one group. I'm a Black American. My ancestors were slaves in the American South. However, I studied Islam in Senegal, West Africa, which is a predominantly...
You studied Islam in Senegal. Remember, Islam is a bloody religion. Our people did not become Muslims through, hey, brother, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. No, it was forced on us. The Arabs enslaved us, okay? I want you to look at a map of Africa and look at North Africa. All of North Africa is Arabs. Why? How? What happened? Rape, robbery, slaughter, and slavery. That's how they got all of North Africa. What's happening in Gaza today? The Arabs did that very same thing to us. Our people. Even that's how many around the Horn of Africa became Muslim over there. That's why I said pay close attention with the history I showed you at the beginning. These black Muslims like to hide the history. They like to mask the history. They put up smoke screens around the history on how many of our people became Muslims. Just like Christians. How did our ancestors become Christians? During this turbulent times, during the time of slavery, transatlantic slave trade. I'm talking about white Jesus Christianity. How do we become that? But let's go on.
Is a predominantly Muslim country full of black people. I lived in Senegal, West Africa, studying Islam for 3 years. In fact, I still speak a little bit of Wolof. I can assure you, Senegalese culture, which is the African culture I'm most familiar with, Senegalese culture is alive and well in Senegal. The way Muslim...
I have, in my brief travels throughout Africa, when we have encountered our people who are Muslims, and we ask them, what is the history of Islam upon black people? How did black people become Muslims? Guess what? 9 out of 10 did not have a clue. 9 out of 10 said, we are Muslims because my parents were Muslim and their parents and their parents. But how did they become Muslims? And they go, I don't know. I said, then you have never picked up a book and checked the history out? No. Well, that's what happened to me. When I first was introduced to Islam, I remember our brother said to me, did you ever look, because I wanted to do my Hajj. He said, did you ever look up the history on how black people became Muslims? And I had to confess, no, I didn't know. So he told me, go to a library. He referenced some books on history. And some of those books I shared with you. And it tells you the evil, the malevolent evil, the despicable, the atrocities done to us, the castrations done to the men, the rape done to our women, and how we became Muslims. But let's go on.
Muslims in Senegal dress is way different from the way Muslims in Saudi Arabia dress.
But you all pray to the same Kaaba stone. You all go to Mecca. Brother, what are you talking about?
Islam does not reject culture. Islam rejects the bad parts of all cultures, whether it
Islam rejects the bad parts of all cultures. Oh, you mean like Arab Muslims selling black people in Libya, Afghanistan, Mauritania? You mean that, brother? Surely you don't mean that.
it's American culture, Indian culture, Arab culture, or any other culture, Islam rejects the bad parts of those cultures. But the good parts of those cultures that do not violate the tenets of Islam are perfectly fine. My teachers in Senegal were not Arab. They were black, African, Muslim men who follow the Maliki madhab.
They were indoctrinated by the Arabs. He's trying to like my teachers were black. They were indoctrinated previously by Arabs. See, I'm telling y'all, these black Muslims, they will not speak against the Arabs. They will not speak against they will not tell the truth about how our ancestors became Muslim. They're a bunch of lies. Just like black Christians, there's no difference between them. But let's go on.
This claim from Umar Johnson is completely false. Now, perhaps the Muslims that he encountered in Philadelphia, maybe some of them were anti-African culture, but that's not Islam, that's the people that he encountered.
I was raised Muslim. Philadelphia has the largest percentage of African American Sunni Orthodox Muslims in the United States. Dearborn has the most Muslims overall, but they Arab. If you're dealing with American Africans, non-Nation of Islam, Orthodox Muslim, Philadelphia has more than any city in America.
Speaking of Philadelphia, there are no official statistics to prove that Philadelphia has the largest percentage of black Sunni Muslims, but this is most likely an accurate statement. Philadelphia does have a large population of black Sunni or mainstream Muslims.
I was raised in the very masjid that I believe the Nation of Islam used to own. You understand? Before Warithuddin Muhammad took over his father's organization, shut that down, and came with the American Muslim movement. I was raised in one of those mosques.
So this is interesting. Umar Johnson is saying that he grew up in a W.D. Muhammad masjid. Wallace D. Muhammad, who later changed his name to Warithuddin Muhammad, was the son of Elijah Muhammad, who was the founder of the Nation of Islam. When Elijah Muhammad died in 1975, his son Warithuddin Muhammad, we often just call him WD, he took over the movement and began moving them towards mainstream Islam. I am very familiar with the W.D. Muhammad community.
You know, and it's interesting because Minister Louis Farrakhan, he made his Hajj to Saudi Arabia in Mecca, one of the largest slave ports. I believe, was it last year or year before last? Within the past 2 years, he made his Hajj with the Arabs.
Community. I grew up in this community. I'm still active in this community today. All of that is to say that I can definitely speak about this community with more authority than Umar Johnson.
But I had to walk away because I saw how we completely ignored black people's problems. We completely ignored black culture.
So now he's saying that Muslims, or at least the Muslims that he knew, ignored black culture. Now we have to give some background.
He didn't just say black culture. He said black culture and black problems.
Here. I think I heard in the past, I think I heard Dr. Umar mention on another podcast that his father was Muslim and his mother was Christian. Like many children who grew up like that, he was most likely exposed to both religions at a young age, Islam and Christianity. I also read some...
Two of the most bloodiest religions on the planet Earth. Those are the two most detrimental to black and brown people worldwide.
Somewhere that his parents divorced when he was young. Therefore, he was likely raised by his Christian mother and spent the weekends and holidays and time here and there with his Muslim father.
Well, don't make assumptions unless you hear him say that. Do not make assumptions.
If he did spend time as a child in a W.D. Muhammad affiliated masjid, there's no way they were not active in their community. Everyone knows that the W.D. Muhammad community came from the Nation of Islam. Even till today, it still has that legacy of involvement in the black community. Now, the W.D. Muhammad community may not do the things that Umar Johnson thinks they should do, but they do not ignore.
we completely ignored the black reality. It was all Islam. Learn your Arabic. And I'm like, I'm a practicing Arab. I'm not practicing Islam. I'm practicing Arabism. Why do I got to learn Arab language to worship God? Why do I got to eat like the Arab to worship God? Why do I got to dress like the Arab to worship God? This is not the worship of God. This is the deification of Arabic culture.
Now, this claim of practicing Arabism, I don't know which masjid he attended as a child, but this is an exaggeration. Yes.
Well, okay, well then, if it's an exaggeration, because I testify to what Dr. Umar Johnson has said. I've seen it with certain family members. I've seen it. So now let's hear what you say, brother.
Islam does require that we make the 5 daily prayers in Arabic.
You do got to speak in Arabic. So that is Arabism. Not only that, you must make your Hajj at least once in your lifetime. You must go to Saudi Arabia and kiss the damn black Kaaba stone with the Arabs. Yeah, and throw the rocks at the I forgot what they call it. Damn, y'all look it up. You got to throw these rocks at the devil's daughters or something like that.
We recite the Quran in Arabic.
You got to recite the Quran in Arabic. Why? Because your black language is invalid. That so-called Allah God, that fictitious Allah God, don't hear your black prayers unless it's in Arabic.
That is a requirement in Islam. But that's about it. We have to pray in Arabic and we have to read the Quran in Arabic. But we do not have to mimic Arab culture. That is false. Nor do we have to speak Arabic all the time. Now,
it doesn't matter if you got to, he didn't say you got to speak Arabic all the time. Dr. Umar Johnson did not say you have to speak Arabic all the time. You got to pray in Arabic language, which you admitted is true. You got to recite the Quran in Arabic, which you admitted is true. That's it, brother. Stop trying to make excuses for your damnable religion.
some Arabic words do filter into our regular jargon, like you will hear American Muslims say, inshallah, like it's an English word.
Like in the grocery store. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam. Yeah, we say it and we say it back. People say it back. I remember growing up. Let me calm down. I remember we were going to the store with kids and the Arabs on the stores, and they would say Assalamu alaikum, and we respond back to them, Wa alaikum salam. Right? Then later on growing up, you see there would be black women, some of you on the line right now, black women, broke black women who wanted to be independent, got pregnant, couldn't keep a job because you got a nasty attitude. What did y'all do? Some of you would go to the Arab stores and want diapers, baby food, because your man Tyrone, you didn't want to listen to him. To hell with him. So you go to the Arab stores and the Arab will give you diapers. And I remember walking in one day, I was younger, black woman coming out the basement. You got the storage spot downstairs in the basement, coming up the stairs, and the dude coming up, pulling up his pants. 9 months later, she's pregnant with an Arab baby, trying to say he's black. The baby is black. No, you sisters like that. And it's all throughout the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. Y'all, if you live in New York, you know. Let's go on.
You'll hear us say, MashaAllah, and Assalamu alaikum, and Bismillah, and Allahu Akbar, and Akhi, and Ukhti, and things like that. And for those people who want to go deep into Islamic studies, they will have to learn Arabic, but that's not most people.
If you want to go deeper into the religion, they will have to learn Arabic. They will have to learn Arabic. What's he talking about? Let's go on. He's just cutting himself.
As I mentioned, I'm still involved with the WD Muhammad community even till today, and I've delivered many khutbahs, that's a sermon basically, at WD Muhammad affiliated masajid, and they were always in English.
Because you're speaking to an English audience, okay? But you cannot do that in Saudi Arabia. You got to do what they say. And when you do your prayers, even here, you got to do them in Arabic as you admit it. You got to recite the Quran in Arabic as you admit it. So stop it, my brother. Stop it. Now, he's not my enemy. I love my brother, but you got to call a spade a spade. Stop the lies. That goes for you black Christians and you black Muslims. Stop the blood clot lying, man.
Yes, I use Arabic phrases here and there, and I try to translate them when I can, but the khutbah, the sermon, was predominantly in English.
Predominantly, not all of it, but predominantly. The rest was in Arabic. This is a Arab man's religion.
Most Muslim men at WD Muhammad affiliated masajid wear regular American clothes, which, by the way, is what Umar Johnson is wearing in this video. In some ways, black American Muslims sort of have a subculture that fuses some aspects of black culture, some aspects of mainstream American culture, and some aspects of Islamic culture altogether. Now, he also mentioned eating like an Arab. How does one eat like an Arab? I don't understand that. Does he mean eating with the right hand? That's like one of the few stipulations of eating that Islam has. We have to eat with the right hand. Is he talking about eating pork or drinking alcohol? I'm not sure what he means by eating like an Arab.
Well, I can go into eating like an Arab. Well, there are videos where black women get paid around $30,000 to fly out to Arab countries where the Muslim Arabs defecate on them, urinate on them, and have them eat fecal matter. Anywhere from 30 grand to 55 grand. They get paid money to get urinated and defecated on, and a train ran on them by Muslim Arabs. Now, you could do a video and say I'm lying, but I got receipts, my brother. Don't test me.
Inshallah, I hope this helps to clarify some of the misunderstandings or misstatements coming from Dr. Umar Johnson. Again, my goal is not to discredit him or anything like that. I don't have anything against the man, but he does have a far reach. And when he makes statements like this, we have to refute them. In my opinion, Dr. Umar Johnson should really just talk about those things that he's familiar with and that he really understands. If he wants to promote Pan-Africanism, that's on him. He's free to do that. But when it comes to Islam, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he should really stay in his lane.
Well, my brother, you don't know what you're talking about either. And we've proved that. Hey, let's go to Daniel chapter 9 and verse 8 regarding my brother here. Daniel 9 and 8. Here's the problem with our people in Islam. O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. We confuse our faces with every other nation's face. We want to be Arab. We want to be Muslim. We want to be Christian. We want to be white. We want to be this. We want to be that. Confusion of faces. The Bible says that we are the Jews. And the Bible says the Jews are black. When you read Jeremiah 14:2, for you scoffers out there, Jeremiah. Actually, let me read Jeremiah 8:21. The prophet Jeremiah says, Jeremiah 8:20, for the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt. I am black. What was the prophet Jeremiah? I am black. Astonishment has taken hold on me. So what was Jeremiah? Black. Jeremiah 14:2 in the King James Version Bible reads this way. Judah mourneth and the gates thereof languish. They, Judah, are black unto the ground, meaning different shades of brown. And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. King Solomon, what about him? What about King Solomon? Let's go to it. Let's go to it. Let's go to it. What was King Solomon in the Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5? I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Who wrote this song? Verse 1 tells you. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. So in this song, which Solomon wrote, he says, I am black and comely, meaning handsome, good looking. So now, from there, let's go to Psalms 83 about our Arabs. We're talking about the Arabs. Let's see what God says about the Arabs. Now, before I get that, Genesis 16 and verse 12. Watch this. Genesis 6. I want to go there first. Genesis 16 and verse 11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, unto Hagar, behold, thou art with child and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, which means God shall hear. Oh, God hears, affliction heard. Because the Lord hath heard thy affliction, it means affliction heard. And he, Ishmael, will be a wild man. How wild will Ishmael be? He's willing not only to kill himself, he's willing to strap C4 on his chest and blow up everybody in the room. Verse 12 again, and he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. That's why in that region of Saudi Arabia, they all dwell together. All the various groups of them, okay? From this. Now, we looked up Ishmael when you look in the Bible dictionary. It says all Arabs following Muhammad's example claim descent from the prophet Muhammad. Okay, I hope y'all understand that. Psalms 83, Psalms 83, Psalms 83. All Arabs following Muhammad example claim descent from Ishmael. Those are your Ishmaelites. Psalms 83, we're going to start at verse 1. Keep not thou, this is the prophet Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace. Be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. Meaning the enemies of God have gathered together. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So God's enemies have lifted up the head in society. He's going to identify them. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. Let's name some crafty counsel against God's people. Slavery, false education, religion, politics. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. We're the hidden ones. Verse 4, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. So they destroyed the 12 tribes of Israel. They cut us off from being a nation. That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. That's why they renamed us. So that we would not remember that we're the Israelites. You're African American. You're Jamaican. You're Haitian. You're not even the same people. You're Nigerian. Yeah, that's what they did. You're Ghanaian. Yeah, you're from Sierra Leone. You're Liberian. Yeah, that's what they did. You're Canadian. Yeah, that's what they did. That's what they do. Y'all understand? Verse 5. So it said that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So all nations work together, destroying us. Verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom. So the first enemy of God are the Caucasian people. That's Edom. And the Ishmaelites. Number 2, the Ishmaelites. Who's that? The Arabs. The Arabs. The Arabs. Of Moab, that's the Chinese. And the Hagarenes, Egyptians. Gebal, that's the Hamites. And Ammon, that's North Koreans and Japan. And Amalek, that's the white man in Israel today. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Hamites. Ashur also is joined with them. That's Turkey, Assyria. They have hope in the children of Lot, Selah. So, what's happening over there in the Middle East today? What's going on? Let's go to Amos, chapter 1, verse 3. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, this is Syria, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have threshed Gilead with threshing instruments of iron. So when our people lived in Gilead, the Arabs here destroyed us. They destroyed us. That's Damascus, verse 4. But I will send a fire into the house of Hazael, which shall devour the palaces of Ben-Hadad. So this is why you see war beginning in Syria. I will break also the bar of Damascus and cut off the inhabitant from the plain of Aven, and him that holdeth the scepter with the house of Eden, and the people of Syria shall go into captivity, prisoners of war, unto Kir, saith the Lord. So the Lord said, I'm going to rain vengeance on Syria for what they did to my people. So what you see happen today, don't be shocked, don't be disillusioned or confused, because I know in Christianity, you know what you're talking about. Verse 6, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, and for 4. So now God's going to talk about Gaza. Gaza's catching hell. I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they carried away captive the whole captivity to deliver them up to Edom. So the Arabs that live in Gaza, They were instrumental in our slavery. They were instrumental in our abduction. But I will send a fire on the wall of Gaza, which shall devour the palaces thereof. And I will cut off the inhabitants from Ashdod. So this hasn't happened yet. Ashdod is in Israel. This hasn't happened yet. And him that holdeth the scepter from Ashkelon. It hasn't happened yet. And I will turn mine hand against Ekron. That's in Israel too. And a remnant of the Philistines shall perish. The remnant of the Palestinians shall perish, saith the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4. What's Tyrus? Lebanon. What's Tyrus? Lebanon. I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom. So Lebanon helped, those Arabs in Lebanon helped the people of Gaza deliver us up to Edom, the white man, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. But I will send a fire on the wall of Tyrus, that's Lebanon, which shall devour the palaces thereof. Then we go on, it goes into Edom, what God's going to do to these white folks. Whoa, it's on and popping. So brothers, sisters, just sit back, relax, and let God do what he do. Let these nations attack and devour one another. Now, I want y'all to look at this map. Okay, it's called Greater Israel. God put on the heart of these white people that claim to be Jews and are not. They want what they call Greater Israel. They want to enhance their borders based upon what? When you go to Genesis 15, watch this. This is what they want to do. Genesis 15, and what verse is it? 18. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, that's Abraham, saying, unto thy seed, it's really talking about us, have I given this land, from the river of Egypt, from the Nile, unto the great river, the Mediterranean, the river Euphrates, all the way up to the Euphrates River. Y'all see that? From the Nile to the Euphrates. And see how they want to even extend it to, they want to take Syria, which is at the Euphrates, Iraq, which is along the Euphrates. Y'all see that? Down to Kuwait, all the way across back to Egypt again. Y'all see it on the map there. This is what they want to do. But that was not given to them, these white people. But this is their justification for destroying the land of Israel. For destroying, not Israel, for destroying Gaza, the West Bank. They're going to get Syria, and they're going to get Jordan, as you see there. They're going to get all that. They're going to take it. They're going to try, and it's going to lead America into the world, into the Third World War. This is what we were reading about in the book of Joel. Okay, Joel chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 3 again. They have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot. They made us breeders, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? So at this time, Tyre and Zidon were Hamites that dwelt in Lebanon. Okay, but today it's Arabs there. Then it says, in all the coast of Palestine, that's the Arabs. Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. They robbed us. The children, listen good, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, unto the white man. So those white people in Israel today, were they sold to other white people? No. This history is about us being sold to white people by Hamites and Arabs. Hamites and Arabs sold us to white people. That's what you read about in Amos. Okay, so let's read verse 6 again. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold into the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold. So God's going to raise us out of the lands where they sold us, and will return your recompense upon your own head. So what the Arabs and the Hamites and the white man did to us, God said it's going to be the big payback. Verse 8, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, that's Somalians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken. Look at verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war! Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. Meaning God wants the nations to fight, to war. What you see happening in Israel today is just the beginning, brothers and sisters. It's just the beginning. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Plowshares and pruning hooks are farming instruments. So whereas the nations may have been at peace, God says, no, I want y'all to prepare for war. It said, let the weak say, I am strong. You better go get some missiles. If you can't get nuclear, get conventional. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the angels come down in the midst of this war. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's in Israel, from Israel up to the Euphrates. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Y'all see that? War's coming. War's going to escalate. And that's not none of our business. It's all for our deliverance. What must we do? Get our minds right, our souls right, our spirits right, as the 12 tribes of Israel. Like it says in Zephaniah, watch this, watch this, watch this. Bear with me, bear with me. Zephaniah 2:1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. That's why Israel United in Christ is pushing for us to become one, pushing for us to unite together, because we're a nation not desired. Verse 2, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. So what's the decree? The decree is God wants all nations to come together in the valley of Jehoshaphat and war and fight and die. That's what it means before the day pass as the chaff, meaning destruction. Before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Seek ye the Lord, all you meek of the earth. So God's message to us is to seek him while he can be found, which have wrought his judgment, meaning his laws. We got to seek his laws, do his laws. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. Watch this. For Gaza shall be forsaken. Gaza is going to be wiped out. Ashkelon a desolation. Ashkelon is going to be, all these are lands in the land of Israel. They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Boom, 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 boom. That's the prophecy. I know you have not learned this in Christianity, but that's what's going to happen. So, brothers and sisters, I hope you gleaned something from today's brief lesson. Let's get to the reading of the shout out letters, all right? All right, let's get to the reading of the shout out letters. This one reads, Shalom, all faithful members of IUIC. Just want to say thank you all for your services, and I pray this helps. Shalom, Brother Judah and Sister Atara. Thank you so much. This next one says to Bishop Nathaniel, blessings to you and your family, and also to all leadership. All praises to the Most High. There is nothing I can add to what IUIC is doing to build each one of the lost tribes who is trying to reconnect. Bless you and continue the outstanding work. As I continue to say, words cannot express my appreciation. All praises, Sister Louise. Thank you, Sister Louise. And see this regarding Deacon Anton, I'll make sure to contact him. This next one reads, I pray the Most High will put boots on the ground in Cuba. You know we want to go back there. In Jesus' name, may he guide his soldiers and IUIC there. Mr. Y. Yasharel W. Hey, if you got connects, let us know. Contact us, give us a call. Whoever has boots on the ground in Cuba, if you got people already there, there's a certain particular form we need filled out. So contact us. All right, this next one says, Bishop Nathaniel, Shalom, Most High in Christ. Bless. Thank you for everything you do in the mighty men of IUSC on the front lines. I pray the Most High continue to guide and protect you all. Stay in the spirit. Mr. Malik. Thank you, Mr. Malik. All praises. We will give a shout out of thanks to Charles D. Shout out of thanks to Brother Charles M. and Miriam I. Charles M. and Miriam I. One more time. Thank you. Shout out of thanks to Abaya I. Shout out of thanks to Angela D. Shout out of thanks to Pamela P. Pamela T, one more time. Shout out of thanks to ELM, I think that says. Shout out of thanks, I think this one says, Mr. Judah and Ms. Atara, thank you. Shout out of thanks to, somebody gave an anonymous donation, but thank you. Shout out of thanks to Louise E.P. of Arlington, Virginia. Shout out of thanks to Zipporah O.I. of Kankakee, Illinois. Zipporah O.I. of Kankakee, Illinois again. Shout out of thanks to Carlene M. Thank you so much. Shout out of thanks to Mr. Malik. Thank you again. Shout out of thanks to K. Brand. I think that says K. Brand of Pratt. You're on Pratt Street. Shout out of thanks to, there's no name on this one, but anonymous, but thank you so much. Shout out of thanks to S.E. Harden. S.E. Harden and D. Ox, I'm sorry, Oxdine, Oxendine. Oxendine? I think that's how you say it. Thank you. Shout out of thanks to A. Nash. A, last name, Nash. Shout out of thanks to, here's another hard one. I see the initials are BR. Shout out of thanks to you. Shout out of thanks to Barbara J.G. of South Carolina. Shout out of thanks to Kiona, I want to say F, and Kiara E, and children. Kiona and Kiara, thank y'all. We got that. Shout out of thanks to Mr. Y. Yasharal W. of Georgia. Shout out of thanks to Leslie C.S. Shout out of thanks to A.V. Miller of Florida. Shout out of thanks to Michael D.S. of Seattle, Washington. And another anonymous donation. But brothers and sisters, thank you. And I pray the Lord prosper you and bless you all and all that you put your hands to. You know how I love to say, let's all of us stay faithful. Let's all of us stay focused. I said it wrong. Let's all of us stay healthy. Let's all of us stay faithful. Let's all of us stay focused. But most of all, let's all of us stay in the spirit. Most High in Christ bless you all. Love you. Till next time. Shalom.